Hi and welcome to the 6th and last boss in AQ20, Ossirian the Unscarred. He's located here. You can enter from both the Moam side or the I Am the Hunter side. The most natural thing would be entering from I Am side. It doesn't matter however though. Before we start talking about the boss, this entire room is filled with these Anubisath Guardians. These are the same mobs that appear in AQ40 and are dealt with in the same way. Have melee grouped in one group at his feet, and have range group at a distance in case he casts Meteor. It's the same way you deal with him. Now, for Assyrian himself, there are a few mechanics that matter. Notably, he has this buff, Strength of Assyrian, that increases damage by 300%. This might sound unreasonable. However, once you engage the fight with him, you'll have these Ossirian crystals located around the room. If you pull him to one of these, activate the crystal, then he loses his buff for 45 seconds. So the name of the game on Assyrian is really dragging the boss around to make sure that he's never wearing this buff. This means that you have one person, preferably marked with a star, who is mounted throughout this whole fight. So the mounted person's role is just to run around this room and locate this crystal. The first crystal is always located here, as far as I'm aware, but the rest of them, they could be anywhere. This is also why this room needs to be completely cleared before you engage the boss, because otherwise you'll have these guardians mess up the fight. If you have one of these guardians join you in the fight, you will most likely die. Other than that, this boss has a few tank mechanics. So he has this spell called Enveloping Winds, which is much similar to the trash mobs in Blackwing Lair, where a tank gets cycloned and is stunned for 10 seconds. However, if he takes any damage, it breaks the stun. This can be cleansed with a free action potion. However, you can't dispel it or anything. So have an off tank who's second on thread, ready to pick up the boss. It's a single target CC, so don't worry too much about it. Other than that, the boss also does a War Stomp. Looks like a thunderclap, pushes back. Not too difficult to deal with. Is a 5-second stun. You should be able to deal with that mechanic. The main bit of this is that there's a lot of stuns going out on the tank. So bring free action potion. Don't be silly and think, oh yeah, I don't need it. It makes this raid a lot easier, especially as DPS gets higher and the kill time will improve. But yeah, so what you want to do is you want to engage Ossirian, drag him to a crystal, and then drag him around to the next crystal. Make sure you keep using these crystals. You don't want the person picked with star activating these crystals because he will then be dismounted. Running around this room without a mount takes a long time. I'll just get them out that I actually want. Here we go. So yeah, you want that one person to stay mounted throughout the whole fight. It's not the most interesting bit, but it does help the raid a lot. Other than that, there aren't really many things to it. This whole room will be filled with tornadoes. I'll show you in a second once I engage him. They do hurt, so they're not just there for show. Make sure that you keep that in mind at all times, just so you don't take a lot of damage. They also slow if you get hit by these tornadoes, so just keep moving away from them, keep dodging them. It shouldn't be too difficult once you get going. He also casts Curse of Tongues, which increases cast timer. Make sure you dispel that. It's a curse, so mages, druids, you can get that. Shouldn't be an issue. Other than that, he gets debuffed throughout the fight, and he might have a spell school that he's extremely vulnerable to, similar to the Draconic Guardians in Blackwing Lair, so also keep your eyes peeled for that. Right, I'll just engage the fight up here, show you how it works. He's not super quick, so you can just like engage him on mount, run down here, pop one of these Assyrian crystals. See, once he gets close, there we go. And he's weak to nature for this one. So once this buff runs out, I'll have to get him to the next crystal. So for this, because I'm doing it on retail. There'll be a lot of these. Just make sure you kill him near one of these. Make sure you get to activate them. Don't wait with moving him till he's on like 10 seconds left. Get moving early and then pop this when it makes sense. It does take a little bit of time for the crystal to activate, and you do want to make sure that Ossirian is actually never wearing his 300% buff. If he does have the 300% buff, you might have an awkward tank death. So just make sure you move in time, get to the crystal, tank and spank, kill him, get fat loot.